Sports Live on a Tuesday, back in studio and discussing something that we hadn't planned to talk about today. We were going to talk about more Titans draft and the impact on a couple certain positions, but something came out yesterday around noon, yesterday on a Monday, where Rashad Weaver, the Titans' fourth-round draft pick, outside linebacker, pass rusher out of Pitt, was charged with assault over the weekend, right before he was drafted by the Tennessee Titans on May 1st. The assault charge came down on April 30th, and it had to do with allegedly punching a female outside of a bar in Pittsburgh on April 18th, which is almost 2 weeks before he was drafted in the fourth round by the Tennessee Titans. So here we are once again, Zach, and we're dealing with a Titans player, a rookie draft pick, dealing with off-field issues. The Titans once again get burned by drafting a player with off-field issues, and we'll discuss the Rashad Weaver assault charge. Do the Titans have a problem? How do we all hold the Titans responsible for drafting Rashad Weaver? As the Titans put out a statement yesterday, Rashad Weaver's attorney put out a statement yesterday. We'll go over all of those information. How should the Titans handle Rashad Weaver moving forward, as the preliminary hearing has been set for October? And then we'll talk more about quarterbacks drafted over the weekend in the NFL draft with an over-under for week one. And then it is Tuesday, so we got to get back to our sports trivia on our Tuesday. Zach, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. It's going to be a very interesting show this morning, that's for sure.
Yeah, ready to rock and roll on a Tuesday morning as we react from the NFL draft over the weekend and kind of trickle some draft and team news throughout the week. But as you said, Austin, surprised about this yesterday, but here we are, and we will dive into it, diagnose it, tell you the story, and then react off of it. But before we do, we are broadcasting live on Twitch, on Twitter, YouTube, and on Facebook. 4 mediums, 4 streams to have you covered. If you are watching on Twitter, please redistribute the show and retweet the broadcast. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. That would help us out a great deal. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch us live and interact there. We see YouTube comments fly in all the time. And Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers? More people will roll in over the next 5 to 10 minutes as we get started. And as you guys do, please share the broadcast, share the show. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Share now to public. Sharing is caring. We got to pop up on your Facebook friends news feed, and that is how that works out. I got plenty of different streams to kind of take in A to Z sports and a lot to talk about today. So, Austin, let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by BetMGM. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for our show, for our business, and they help out you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the area at renterswarehouse.com. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout is free. Wilson County Hyundai for your next ride. Check them out in Lebanon at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Calvin and Subtle for your brand new hardwood floors and finishings. They're at calvinandsubtle.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Speaking of Bone and Joint, if you missed yesterday's Doc Talk with Dr. Michael McNamara, who is a spine specialist, we talked strictly Caleb Farley, his 2 back surgeries, and the impact of that, the healing process of that. So if you missed that yesterday, go ahead and go back after our show this morning. Make sure you find it on the same channels you're watching right now, because it was really good information about what happened with Caleb Farley. So, Zach, now we found out what happened with Rashad Weaver. Allegedly on April 18th, he punched a woman outside of a bar at 2:28 a.m. in the morning. Something never goes right then. But Zach, I'll turn it over to you to kind of tell the story about more of what is being alleged of Rashad Weaver, the Titans' 4th-round draft pick.
Well, and he has been charged with 1 count of simple assault in connection to that incident that you just mentioned. And of the night of April 17th, morning of April 18th, they were outside of a bar. Demetria Nevelis, who appeared to be in connection with him, maybe his girlfriend. But a complaint came in, and an incident occurred outside of this bar there were two witnesses that said that they witnessed the altercation or incident. Now, one witness said that she did see Weaver punch Miss Nivelis. The other witness said she did not see the actual punch, but did see her fall to the ground. The attorney of Mr. Weaver, of Rashad Weaver, he denies all of these allegations, saying they are completely false and reckless to accuse his client of these. So Miss Nivelis was released after this incident to go home. But there is something that we do need to pay attention to, because this, I think, is some, I guess you could say it's some damning evidence within the complaint. We have to also understand this is just an accusation. There's charges pending, but I want to showcase this because I do think that this is very important. Because if you read within the complaint, this is what was heard. Quote, stated to other officers on the scene that he had no problem hitting a female if they needed it. That was filed within the complaint of what Rashad Weaver said or accused to have said. And then the other thing, the officer followed up with the victim, and 4 days later, she actually went to the Ohio Valley Hospital because she was vomiting at the hospital. She was diagnosed with a concussion, according to the complaint. And to wrap this story up, the preliminary hearing is scheduled for October 5th at Pittsburgh Municipal Court. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview. There was an incident outside of a bar. The accusation is that Rashad Weaver simply assaulted or hit this woman. She went to the ground. She was released, later went to the hospital a few days later, and now he's charged with simple assault. So these are all public record, and yeah. I think I'll pass it over to you, Austin, because information is key. And information is key when drafting a player and signing him to a possible contract. And it sounds like the Titans didn't do their due diligence.
Yeah, and so, look, Keelan says his lawyer said it was false. Someone over here saying, well, there are always allegations. We got to watch. Is he facing charges or convicted? He's facing charges. There's a lot of questions. I'm just
telling you the story that was reported.
Right, and so there's a lot of comments that are talking about the details and saying, well, we have to wait for this, see how it plays out. Yes, allegations are allegations, but for the team that we cover, it is all about the statement the Titans sent out yesterday saying that they were made aware and learned of the situation Monday morning, right? They drafted him on Saturday, and this happened April 18th in the early hours of the morning, and the charges were filed on Friday, April 30th. And the problem is now the Tennessee Titans, for the second year in a row, have a high-profile issue that they're dealing with a draft pick. And you're right, Zach, it's not doing your due diligence. And so I made the point yesterday, and I tried to look to find a theme of the draft to find out, did the Titans take this draft more seriously than last year when it comes to the people they're drafting, not just the player? And what did I come up with? That 6 of the 8 draft picks the Titans made were at the Senior Bowl in January, where the Titans got to watch them go through a week of practice, go through a week of work, be around these players to an extent. And Rashad Weaver was one of the 6 guys at the Senior Bowl. But you can't just say, okay, we saw him in January. We think he's a hard worker. We think he's a good football player. He seems like a good kid, and be done with it. You have to continue to evaluate throughout the entire process. And I got to give Paul Kaharski a ton of credit for following up on this story and updating this morning, Paul reached out to 5 scouts from 5 different teams. And as of this morning, Paul said 3 teams knew about this incident, 2 of them did not, and then the Titans also did not. If you're the Tennessee Titans, it makes you look lazy in your evaluation process of human beings because of what happened with Isaiah Wilson, which they got bamboozled with that, and now what's happening with Rashad Weaver. It makes them look not thorough, and it makes them look like they cut corners and gave up and ended their evaluation process before they actually drafted the guy. And it's a bad look, an awful look that this happened. You have to know about these things. There's no excuse to not know about these things.
Well, they have 7 draft picks out of 259. I mean, you get 7 opportunities.
8, but yeah.
But you look at it and you sit there and you say, how can you miss on this? And here's the big question. Would they have drafted him if they knew this? Because what you just referenced, some teams knew, some teams didn't. Well, the Titans drafted him. They admitted to us that they did not know until Monday based on their statement. That's the problem. And what you don't know, and it's the trend. History. I always say this, and whether you like it or not, if you have a criminal record and a police officer or a court is going to look into you and punish you a little bit more severely. If you get pulled over and you've got a crack record and you've been popped 5 times, they're going to treat you differently. A court is going to treat you differently if you've been in jail because you've had a meth problem for years, because they're not going to send you back out on the streets. They're going to try to either get you help or put your ass in jail. Your history matters. And what the history, unfortunately, is saying by this particular scouting department and management group of the Tennessee Titans, they're not very good at doing their due diligence with players. Their first round draft pick a year ago, Isaiah Wilson, is on the streets, not in the NFL. He was like that less than 365 days prior to them drafting him.
Yeah, and I think B. Hall brings up a good point. He says the worst part is there's not a scenario that makes them look better. Not knowing or drafting him by actually knowing, look, both are bad. Right?
I agree, Ben.
I'm going to read the statement verbatim that the Titans put out and sent to the media yesterday. Quote, "We were made aware of this news this morning. We obviously take this seriously and are in the process of gathering details and working with the league." End quote, end statement. That's it, right?
My problem, I think they should have left out obviously. I think that was the wrong word. PR, here's some. Obviously, you didn't obviously take this seriously because you obviously didn't do the due diligence prior to the draft. Yeah. That's not obvious. Leave that word out. Your actions have yielded that's not obvious.
Yeah, and I think, and Ronald's right, should have done that after Panda. And Isaiah Wilson makes this so much worse.
Yes.
The one thing the Tennessee Titans could not afford to do was this. In this draft, it doesn't matter, first round, second, third, fourth, whatever. They could not afford to draft a player with off-field issues. And the fact that Paul Kaharski is reporting that 3 other teams were aware of this situation. Hell, yesterday I was just saying that Rashad Weaver was probably one of the best value picks they got in this draft, along with Elijah Molden. That he dropped a little bit to the 4th round. Guy was an All-American last year.
Why do you think he dropped?
I wonder why. I wonder if it's more than the 3 teams that Paul's talked to already that knew about this, right? So they could not afford to do this. They now, again, egg on their face, because I haven't heard about a story about another team having a bad draft pick that turned out to do something like this year, on top of the disaster that was Isaiah Wilson last year. It's an unmitigated disaster that they've done this again.
And here's the deal. Everybody's going to say, and look, I don't know how, we'll find out October 5th more, or if they settle or whatever, right? It's not the fact of what could come out of this. It's the fact that you're put in a situation and being accused and charged with simple assault. That's the issue.
Yeah.
This could, and I have my own opinions on it. This could easily be brushed under the rug. We never hear anything about it, and Weaver goes on to play a long career. That could probably happen, right? But it's the fact of the matter after the draft, immediately after the draft. The number one news story is not why the 49ers took Trey Lance over Mac Jones. It now has kind of turned to, wow, an NFL team didn't do their homework, and this is now being revealed after they have drafted the player. This was national news yesterday because there wasn't much news. I think I look at that, and that is eye-opening. Never put yourself in scenarios, whether you're a football player or you're just a regular-ass civilian. Don't put yourself in position to be charged with simple assault. I always say that, whether you're in college and you have something happen to you, we've seen that a lot, whether you're a professional and you see that. Athletes try, and I don't know how they can't do this, try to put yourselves in better situations. And one thing can be true, Austin. Rashad Weaver did not.
No kidding. All right, so I'm going to tee off on a certain comment here in a second. But we do want to ask you guys a question about this, and that is, how can the Titans be held responsible for making this mistake? Drafting Rashad Weaver with the assault charges filed against him and telling everybody else that they didn't know about this until Monday morning. So we're going to ask you guys that question. How can the Titans be held responsible for this mistake this year? But first, let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse and renterswarehouse.com. They're the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. There's so many different ways you can use Renters Warehouse to your benefit, whether you want to create extra cash flow for you and your family, have long-term equity by renting out your property instead of selling. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go. If you have a son or daughter who's about to graduate from high school, from college, move out of your house, whatever the hell they're doing, make sure they have a great place to go to in the mid-state area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
BetMGM, they are the title sponsor of this morning show. Download the app today and use promo code ATOZ Sports. They got great promotions running. It's a great app. You can win some money. It makes the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball a lot more interesting. They got promo boosts galore. BetMGM, use that code ATOZ Sports.
ATOZ Sports here live on this Tuesday. We're asking you the question, how can the Titans be held responsible for this mistake they've made? And I do want to tee off on Tony, who's in the comment section saying, remember, they're just allegations. Tony McCready. Again, the key word is allegations. Tony, we know they're allegations. The problem here is that the Titans did not know about this until after it became public to everybody else and they drafted the guy. And this happened before they drafted the guy. And Kenneth says, no excuse. The Titans didn't do their due diligence. That is the focus of today's show. We cover the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have done this again. We know they're allegations, but the fact is charges were filed. And the Tennessee Titans could not allow for this to get out. If they knew about it and wanted to draft the guy anyway, then get ahead of it, be proactive, not reactive, because now they look bad. But like Ben said earlier, there's no way for them to look better in this situation. If they drafted him knowing about it, that's a bad look. If they drafted him not knowing about it like they did, it's a bad look. So, Tony, it's not about that. It's about the Titans not knowing and doing their full homework and cutting corners.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. I think you would question if they would draft him if they knew this.
I say because
of hindsight, I get it.
Because
hindsight.
of Isaiah Wilson, they should have stayed away. That and you always think you cannot allow for public perception to impact your process. But for the Tennessee Titans, as big of a disaster and as bad as Isaiah Wilson burned you last year, where you had to spend your second-round pick to fix the issue, maybe, with Dylan Radins, now you couldn't afford to do this, and they did it. So how can we hold the Titans responsible?
I mean, I think this is a pretty tough question. You really can't.
Yeah, and Corey brings up Jeffrey Simmons. And, again, Jeffrey Simmons was 4
years removed.
Right. Not the same as Isaiah Wilson.
3 years removed.
Rashad Weaver. Jeffrey Simmons, his issue, which was very public, happened when he was still in high school before he went to Mississippi State. And he went through his college career without any issue off the field and was a model citizen at Mississippi State, according to the people that Titans talk to and according to people that we talk to who are around Mississippi State in that program. And Jeffrey Simmons has been fantastic ever since that issue. Rashad Weaver, this happened less than 2 weeks before they drafted him. Not 3 years, less than 2 weeks.
And I was critical of Jeffrey Simmons in the draft pick of the chance they took on him at the pick they did. And Jeffrey Simmons, I've said on this program before, has proved me and a lot of other people wrong. Jeffrey Simmons has been a model citizen since he's been a Titan. He's proven that he's changed his way, and that was a bad incident and a lack of judgment at the time in high school. But he's earned, I think, a lot of people's trust back on this. But Austin, as you said, this is 2 weeks ago. Like, it's not stemmed from months prior or a year prior. This was literally 2 weeks ago, and it all stems back to them not knowing. You only have a handful of opportunities to draft players, okay? That is important to help build your football team, build your business, and try to win a Super Bowl. If you don't do your due diligence and go back and do your research of the guys you draft, that's a problem. It's a fundamental flaw.
And so I need to bring up what Paul Kaharski reported. His updated report as of this morning was he's talked to 5 other NFL team scouts. 3 teams knew about the Rashad Weaver charges. 2 teams did not. The Titans would be a 6th team who said yesterday in a statement that they did not. They were made aware of it that morning. So if you've got, 50% of those teams that Paul's talked to knows about it and 50 did not. It's also the fact that Paul is saying that most teams always circle back the week of the draft and the days before to circle back and go through and have follow-up conversations with guys they're very interested in. And you got to think the Titans have to do that. Like, every team should do that. Like, you can't just rely on the Senior Bowl and your other on-field evaluation of a guy or the 5 Zoom meetings that you had throughout the process. You have to have those follow-up conversations to make sure nothing has changed right before the draft.
We go back to 2 words. Super Bowl window. 3 words, I guess. 3 words. Super Bowl window. That they have to make sure their picks are correct. And they took chances. We talked about the makeup pick in the 2nd round. Justified, right? I mean, I didn't love the pick, but it was justified because they still needed a right tackle, right? They still needed a young tackle to groom, whether to play on the right side or the left side, depending on Taylor Lewan coming back from injury. I get it. I understand it. Justified. But all of these mistakes that they're making I go back to fundamental flaw. It's a fundamental flaw of the scouting department and organization and management of doing the research on the players that they're drafting.
All right, so Danny says, okay, wait, it happened 2 weeks ago and the charges were filed after his name got called in the draft. No, Danny, no. The charges were filed before he was drafted, and the Titans learned about it Monday. So, can we understand, please? I want us all to be on the same page with this story. The incident happened April 18th. She goes to the hospital for vomiting and was diagnosed with a concussion April 22nd. The officer followed up with her about the incident on April 25th, and the charges were officially filed April 30th, and Weaver was drafted May 1st. So the charges were officially filed before then, before he was drafted. The Titans drafted him and learned about it after the fact. But if the Titans had done their due diligence, like Titans for Life says, the other 3 teams who claim they knew about it, you have to have a conversation with Weaver, his agent, his camp, that says something happened on April 18th.
They hire people to look at these things.
Right.
They're a $1 billion company, guys. They're a $1 billion company. They've got HR. They've got all of these things that a regular company and a big company, they employ a ton of people. They have to get more employees. It's literally HR, right? When you apply for a job, human resources, you've got to go through and they do background checks. If there's a drug test, they drug test your ass. If you fail the drug test, you aren't hired. There are guys that do background research on this. Now, instead of you making, $65,000 for a cube job, you're talking about making multi-millions of dollars as an NFL football player. You don't think they're not hiring 50 people. They're only hiring less than 10 each year.
From a pool of their draft board's not thousands of people.
But let's simplify this. There is zero excuse that they should have released a statement on Monday saying we just learned about this.
Especially because, like, oh my gosh, like how many times in Zoom press conferences has John Robinson and Mike Vrabel been asked, how are you going to go about this type of draft process without 30 visits, without being able to travel to all these pro days and have all these different in-person conversations with draft picks? And they have 5 Zoom meetings, and John Robinson said, we're going to bring a lot more people in on the Zoom meetings to vet this guy. The vetting process is going to be more extent and more thorough. And then here we are. Rashad Weaver's drafted after charges were filed for assault on him.
So I want to go back to something because we listened to a video on Nick Saban. Ands and buts. The problem is they didn't know the butt. Yeah. They didn't figure out the butt. That's the issue. And
I want to go back to what you brought up, Zach, in the graphic that you created, because the most damning thing about this is because, allegations are allegations. We all have to understand that the legal part of this process has to play out. But my God, this quote, before leaving the bar, Mr. Weaver stated to other officers on the scene that he had no problem hitting a female if they needed it, according to the complaint. Like, that is just bad. Like, if you say that, even without anything physical happening, it just shows a lot about who you are.
Yeah, we talk about the interview process, and you mentioned that they brought more people onto these Zooms. I mean, I flat out ask them, like, have you been in trouble? Have you previously been in trouble with the law? Have you ever been charged with something? And I don't know if there's rules and regulations what you can and cannot ask, but I'd find those and I'd push the limit. Austin, you know how we interview people. I'm pretty upfront. I ask them. I don't give a damn because I want the right people working for our company. Just like John Robinson and Mike Vrabel want the right people a part of their company, I feel like they should do the same thing, but it's honestly not about the interview. It's about the people getting paid single-handedly. Give me 50 targets of players that you could draft and have one guy go do research on all of them leading up to the day of the draft.
Yeah.
And you know what? From here on out, they'll probably do that because lessons learned.
Okay, but again, they should have already learned it because of what Isaiah Wilson was.
Wilson, I find very unique. And I don't know the process. Obviously, during a COVID year, it's so crazy. It's like Isaiah Wilson, the day he was drafted, he took crazy pills. And I don't know, and I don't know anything about Isaiah Wilson prior to being drafted by the Tennessee Titans, but it didn't sound like there was this type of character within Isaiah Wilson prior to him getting money. And it's like, again, the crazy pills kicked in once he got a check.
Isaiah Wilson completely bamboozled the entire organization.
That's hard to do.
And there's part of me that does feel bad for John Robinson and the Titans.
I thought you were about to say Isaiah Wilson.
No. Screw that guy. I don't feel bad for him whatsoever. No, I do feel some sympathy for John Robinson for just being played like that. Because Isaiah Wilson played us like that. All of his quotes after the draft, before he showed up for camp out of shape, everything Isaiah Wilson said post-draft before camp was perfect. I love taking people's souls. I can't wait to be a part of this family. I can't wait to learn from the veteran guys on this offensive line. Like, all these things were great, but the guy just flipped. And now he is what he is.
And you know what? Brent is right. And this is just how responsibilities and sometimes it's unfortunate, but Brent says at the end of the day, all the blame falls on the guy that drafted him, and that's John Robinson. He picked him. He submits it because that's something that we figured out early on. Amy Adams Strunk gave John Robinson the keys to the roster. When Mike Vrabel was hired, John Robinson still had keys to the roster. John Robinson had keys to the roster when he was hired after Mike Mularkey, who he then fired soon after. So it does fall on one guy. Austin, here's a question. Do you think we'll hear from John Robinson this week?
Well,
notoriously we do. Notoriously, John Robinson does a very good job of getting in front of this and actually saying, hey, I'm going to hold a press conference later this week, and I'm going to tell you what I did and did not know, and I'll either apologize, take responsibility, or deal with it. Right? I mean, we've kind of known that. I mean, I didn't want to call the man crying, but he was emotional after Kevin Dodd.
Right?
I
mean, he was showing tears. I mean, the
right?
guy, yeah.
But I think, again, Kevin Dodd was a long time ago. You learn your lesson. Well, you learn about
and Kevin
players.
Dodd was also the guy's first draft as a GM.
Right, and that meant something to him. But do you think we'll hear from him this week?
I mean, we were supposed to. I know. He was supposed to be making rounds as early as today, and so we'll find out really what happens with it. But here's something I'm curious about: how should the Titans handle Rashad Weaver moving forward? Because we've talked about this. The preliminary hearing is not until October 5th. That's like month 2 of the NFL season. So how should the Titans handle Rashad Weaver moving forward? But first, Zach, tell everybody about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle is where you need to get your hardwood floors. They're right here in Middle Tennessee. You can go online at calvinandsubtle.com, or you could give them a call at 615-448-6414. Look, I've featured a ton of hardwood floors on this show. This is the Angelino. This Angelino is a lighter shade of hardwood floor, and this thing will pop inside your kitchen. It will brighten up your entire house. I think that's the best part. Call about Angelino. You'll remember about that. The city of angels, the house of angels. That's what your wife will be walking around saying, man, I feel like I've got angel wings on my back. That's what that your entire family will feel. This is a great hardwood floor. You can give them the call 1 to 2 weeks once you pick out your perfect hardwood floor. They order the material and install. 615-448-6414. That's 615-448-6414. If you're thinking about new hardwood floors, think about Calvin and Subtle.
Who wants free $100 from BetMGM? If you're a new user, you download the app, use our code ATOZ100. So this is for today only. ATOZ100, and you put a $1 bet on the Braves Nationals. And if either team hits a single home run, you win $100, regardless of that bet's play out, right? So a $1 bet on anything Braves Nationals, and as long as there's one home run hit, you win $100. Download the app. This is for new users. Download the BetMGM app. Use the promo code today, ATOZ100. That's ATOZ100 for this promo here for the Braves Nationals game today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older, must be present in Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Zach, we're asking, how should the Titans handle Rashad Weaver moving forward? Zach, well, I'll send you to the comment section to see what the people are saying.
Ronnie says they have to cut him if this stuff is factual. Chris says, feels like we're going backwards. If it's true, he has to go from Scott Weaver. The Titans should wait for the case to play out for Titans Forever. Give him a second chance from Sir Easters. Let's see. The whole organization should be embarrassed from 10.
There's no doubt that's true.
Martavia says facts. Hope it's not true. They shouldn't owe him anything if not under contract. Michael says summons was issued on 5/3,
which was yesterday.
Right. But people knew about this prior to the draft.
Yeah, 3 teams are claiming to Paul Koharski that they knew about it. Because this happened April 18th.
Chris says, I almost want to cut him today.
I almost want to say cut him today. So they should not cut him today. And yeah, I think Kelkins had the best comment that I've seen so far, and it's scrolled past. But Kelkins said, don't sign him to a contract until you know a lot more of what's happening here. Because the fact is that signing these rookies to a contract is a long process. And there's usually typically a mandatory rookie minicamp the week or two following the NFL draft. It's different this year like it was last year, so I don't know exactly what that plan is. But You don't have to sign these dudes until contract until the season, right? So I think if you're the Tennessee Titans, you work on signing all your other picks and put him over on the side and say, we're not going to approach your contract until we know a lot more of this.
However damning all of these allegations are, Trucks 1982 gets the love of the show, even though he's on Periscope/Twitter, so I can't really physically do that. You're innocent until proven guilty.
No doubt.
And all of these social media warriors, it's inexcusable for the Titans not to know about the situation prior to drafting him. But the situation is the situation. You have to let that play out in court. You can't jump to conclusions. Now, businesses can, right? We've seen that a lot before. The NFL will suspend indefinitely, and I'm curious to see what they'll have to do. But at the end of the day, you are innocent until proven guilty. In today's age, that unfortunately flies out the window once people pick up their phone and get on Twitter, right? Because you have cancel culture, you have these warriors, these social warriors trying to you have to let it play out and figure out what is true, what is false in the court of law. We have to go by these standards. We live in a society. We have to remember that. Now, it's not perfect.
No,
our judicial system is not perfect, but it's still a system. I can't go kill a guy and keep going with my life. That's illegal. Okay? So we still have to abide by the rules and the laws and the structure of the world we live in the United States of America. Innocent until proven guilty. So, Austin, I agree with you. You don't do a damn thing with his contract or put a contract in front of him. The problem is, Austin, court date's not till October 5th. October 5th is in the middle of the damn season.
Right. And so you can't just wait until after this entire legal process is done. I don't know off the top of my head of like, if there's a deadline of signing a rookie contract or not, or if it's like a holdout process. It's a weird situation because ideally it's you wait to do anything with Rashad Weaver until the legal process plays out, but you can't really do that because of the timing of the season. So you have at least until July, the end of July. So you've got all of May, all of June, and all of July until you really need to do something because Rashad Weaver in training camp is not until like the last weekend of July. So you've got about 3 full months to wait and to be patient to see what happens legally before the Titans really need to do anything with it.
So 2 things. Stephen Wood says 100% it is settled out of court. Then Don comes back and says the timing stinks of the money grab. So usually how these things work, now he's a 4th-round pick. He's not a 1st-round pick. Usually in a 1st-round pick, that's why Jalen Waddle was iced out, is because the agent fronts them money knowing that they're going to get that back. They kind of hedge their bet of, all right, I'll give this guy $200,000 because he's about to sign, a $20 million contract, right? A 4th-round pick, it's not the same way. Now, an agent, he has an agent. I don't know what kind of money he's given him, but he doesn't have that type of money.
He doesn't have any money yet.
Right? So and that's why I'm more with Don is the timing stinks of a money grab. I'm saying not in the it smells like a money grab. I think it stinks because there is no money grab.
Well, something happened on April 18th, right? Something happened. And again, why, if you're a prospective draft pick.
But who made this woman go to the ground? How did she get to the ground? How did she get diagnosed with a concussion days later? How did she continue to vomit? And the 2 witnesses, there were 2 witnesses. One claimed that they saw Weaver punch her in the face. The other one said they did not see the punch, but saw her hit the ground. Those are the only stories that the complaint filed, the information that we know. We've got to figure out that in the court of law. That's the only way. I can't assume. I don't know. I wasn't there. April 18th in the morning. I don't even know what I was doing at 2:30 a.m. I was probably asleep.
I heard Ramon Foster this morning on The Zone, who played for the Steelers for 11 years, knows Pittsburgh, said basically that area of Pittsburgh, the south side, good things don't happen after midnight in that area. It's one of those entertainment districts where there's a lot of bars, a lot of nightlife, where bad things happen after 2 a.m., right? Like it's most I would say probably 90% of the dumb things I've done in my life have happened between the hours of like 1 and 4 a.m., right? Or even a little later than that. So if you're a prospective draft pick, you cannot put yourself in a situation like this.
Yeah. I mean,
and several people in the chat, you guys are asking, where's the video footage? Who knows if that's something that's going to come out in the next week or so, because I guarantee you a lot of journalists in the Pittsburgh area, maybe journalists here will go
that guy,
towards, John McGonigal will probably go after and ask that bar or ask the police if there is video evidence that's public record to put out there. So
because and that's the cold hard truth. Video is all you need. That's the evidence that people need as to form an opinion outright. We saw that in Ray Rice. If we don't have Ray Rice's video, Ray Rice probably still plays football a year afterwards. Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dadson says, Austin, you think he doesn't deserve the freedom to celebrate and live? It's about decision making, Dadson. It's not about the freedom to go out and have fun. It's decision making. It's knowing when to go home. Knowing when to go home, knowing when to remove yourself from a situation, because you got bigger things. Like if you're Rashad Weaver, if you're anybody who just got drafted to the NFL, you've got bigger things on your plate than having a night of fun at 2 a.m. Like, come on, Dadson. Bad comment.
Dadson, bad comment. Having fun. Hey, we're just having fun. No. Read the report. That wasn't fun. No fun, sir.
Yeah, Damon says, wasn't the report that she had no physical evidence of getting punched? Sounds like he pushed her to the ground and she hit her head. Textbook set out of court for money. Look, that's not
vastly assumption.
but Damon's not incorrect that there was the two witnesses, right? One said they saw the punch. One said they did not.
It has to be proved. Right?
But she did have a concussion. And there was some type of altercation, including her saying she threw a drink on him. So there was some type of. Is it okay
to push a woman to the ground?
No.
Does it matter?
Right. If he caused
it's
the
concussion.
It's
the same thing to me. Personally, and this is my personal moral opinion, punching a girl in the face and pushing her to the ground is the exact same thing.
They're both bad. Punching a woman. They're not the exact same thing.
In my opinion, they are.
They're both despicable and they're both unacceptable.
You have to find a way, and this is a key that a lot of people don't know. You have to be smart enough to find a way out of that situation.
No, absolutely. You just
don't do it. You run away. You have two legs. You're a pro or you're about to be a pro athlete. Run your ass away.
Yes. It's not that hard.
And I don't give a damn what anybody says about, sometimes run away. Be the bigger man. There's also responsibilities of moral society. And that is, of my personal opinion, pushing somebody, a female, to the ground and punching them, or I don't know, doing whatever, assaulting them in some way. You've now gotten on one side of the list in my book.
Thank you, Titans for Life. They're both bad, but they're not the same thing. It's like saying first and second degree murder is the same. It's not. They're both awful. They're both unacceptable and something that you cannot do. But I
said in my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. But in my opinion,
if you guys didn't listen to me, which it didn't sound like you two did, or any of the other chat that's disagreeing, I literally said in my moral opinion.
That's fine. I understand that. But in my opinion, they're both, like Rob says, they're both assault, but they are different. One's probably a stronger sentence than the other, but they're both something that
moral opinion.
Okay.
Do you know what that means?
All right. Okay. I'll get you.
Obviously you don't.
Okay. I'll give you that. All right. A to Z Sports here live. It's just going back to the Titans thing. It's just something that they cannot afford to have happen. It's just something that they could not do this, and they did it. And it's unbelievable that happened. So we'll change directions and talk a little quarterbacks here on A to Z Sports on this Monday. But don't forget, If you missed our Bone and Joint Institute Dog Talk segment about Caleb Farley yesterday with Dr. Michael McNamara, go find it. It was great. It's like 13 minutes long. A lot of great information from Dr. McNamara about the back surgeries that Caleb Farley has gone through and how an athlete can project to what their career could look like. So really good stuff there. The Bone and Joint Institute is the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. So go check it out, boneandjointtn.org.
I want to clarify this because the chat's driving me nuts. Okay, so the definition of moral opinion, you guys, you can disagree with it, right? But moral, it is a belief. It is a personal belief, okay? So you can disagree with it, but it can't be wrong if it is a personal belief, right?
Yeah, we're not talking criminal.
But that's the problem. That's what the chat got misconstrued. But let's not get this misconstrued. I understand the definition of the differences of assault and punching a person and pushing them to the ground. I'm not an idiot. I said, that's why I prefaced the freaking story with moral opinion. So let's understand that and don't jump off the deep end and start arguing something that doesn't make any sense.
All right, Zach. So let's talk quarterbacks now because, look, there's no way to smoothly transition away from that topic to another topic. So let's just do it like this. Rookie quarterbacks to start week one. Rookie quarterbacks to start week one, over or under 3.5. Over or under 3.5 rookie quarterbacks to start week one. I find this very interesting to talk about. So, Zach, how do you feel about this conversation?
I'm glad we're done with the previous one, but I like these like little NFL quick hitters we've been doing. Like, yesterday we did the Aaron Rodgers. Today we're doing the over/under rookie quarterback. So in my opinion, this is tough. We've got Eric says under, Patrick says under, Chris says under, Steven goes over, Darius goes over, Apollo goes under, Karen goes under. I mean, there's so many damn comments. Sorry. John Doe says under, which is a funny name. Billy goes under.
So our buddy Alan Bell, who will be hosting A to Z Sports Picks presented by BetMGM today at 2:00. So if you want some winners, they've got you today at 2:00. A to Z Sports Picks right here where you're watching right now. Alan put this out yesterday with a line of over or under 2.5. And Zach and I were talking, and that was from Sportsline where Alan works. Zach and I were talking pre-show about how we thought the better conversation was move that over-under up to 3.5 instead of 2.5.
And the caveat with that is Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G holds the key to this bet. Let's just talk through this. Austin, do you agree or disagree that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson will be day one starters?
Those guys feel like they're going to start.
Who would start?
There's nobody.
Trevor Lawrence is going to start. There's nobody around Zach Wilson that's going to start over.
No.
And the Jets can't afford that. So there's two.
So you look at who was the next quarterback drafted? Well, it was Trey Lance. So that's what we'll come back to him in a second. Then it's Justin Fields. Andy Dalton is there.
He QB1 apparently.
Right. So Andy Dalton could get at least week one. But Justin Fields has time to upset that. So Justin Fields is a player in this. I think the one guy in the first round that's really not a factor in week one starting is Mac Jones because of the Cam Newton just re-signed in New England. So,
and he already has a year under his belt in New England to know the offense. That is the key thing, right? Like Mac Jones. And out of all these quarterbacks, didn't we all feel that Mac Jones was least ready? That was the reasoning that the 49ers, and I had to wear a puka shell necklace the last two shows, is because the 49ers felt that Trey Lance was more ready than Mac Jones. Now, they didn't say that Trey Lance was more ready than Jimmy Garoppolo, but I agree. The Patriots now set aside this conversation. So it's between the Bears and the 49ers, in which I thought the Bears were going to trade up. I don't care about the Bears. I love the pick by the Bears. And I'm now cheering for Justin Fields because the Bears finally did something to make their fan base happy. Whether he'll work or not, they'll at least give hope for 2 years, right, at minimum. But Justin Fields, do you think the fan and the Bears are the Bears? And I don't know enough about the organization and what Matt Nagy has built.
Well, the defense is good. We know that.
I know. I'm saying of the decision-making of are they there to make their fans happy? Because to make their fans happy, they have Justin Fields start day one.
Right. And so here's how I play it out. So I think Lawrence, Wilson are day one starters. I think Fields is a day one starter. So that's 3. We put our line at 3.5, right? So I'll take the over because a lot of you guys, I've been holding back one quarterback who I think is a game changer in this bet, and you guys are on it now. There's a lot of comments that have started to fly in. Davis Mills for the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans traded up to get Davis Mills with their first draft pick of the entire damn weekend. And with the Deshaun Watson situation, Davis Mills is a great option that I think pushes this over 3.5.
Tyrod Taylor?
Screw Tyrod Taylor.
The Chargers got the benefit of Tyrod Taylor having bad medical advice by the team doctors and gave him the opportunity to start, and Tyrod Taylor never saw the job again. Now he's in Houston. He's better. That's a tough one.
But we're talking about 3. I'm trying to get to 4, right? So we've got 2. We know 2, barring injury to Fields to Lawrence or Wilson. So we need 2 of the 3 here, or really 2 of the 4. And that is Lance, Fields, Mac Jones, and Davis Mills. Because we know Kyle Trask, who went to the Bucs, no.
So if you're betting 1 out of the 4, that's a pretty good bet.
Well, you need 2 out of the 4 to get to 4.
We're trying to get to 4, but on the bets, you're only trying to get to 3.
Well, Alan Bell put out from CBS Sportsline that who he works for that they had the number at 2.5. So if it's 2.5, you hit that over as fast as you can.
Yeah,
but I think for our conversation's sake, 3.5 is the better conversation.
Yeah, I agree. So you think Davis Mills will start day one?
I think there's absolutely a chance where it makes me willing to bet on over 3.5 for probably longer odds, which is more return.
I think Tyrod Taylor will start day one. What do you think about Justin Fields and Andy Dalton?
I think Fields is our day one starter.
Man, I do too, because I think that coaching staff is desperate and they need to start now. They may not have the opportunity to move to Fields if Andy Dalton comes out there and they start 1-3. Their goose is going to be cooked. So you'd rather start Justin Fields and see what he's got, make him make the rookie mistakes, and see at least die with Fields, right? If you're going to get fired, you're going to get fired. And then the Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance conversation, what do you think happens there?
Well, can they trade Jimmy Garoppolo?
They would have. Right?
You would think that if they were going to trade Jimmy G, then they already would have done it, so they get something back for this draft.
I think Jimmy G starts day one.
I agree. I think Trey Lance is more of a look, I'm about to say something. I don't want anybody to take it the wrong way. I think Trey Lance is more comparable to the situation that Pat Mahomes was drafted into.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I just wanted to say that.
I wasn't going to jump on you.
Alex Smith, Jimmy G, they play out to start, and the young, talented guy gets to kind of wait in the wings for a little bit, and then who knows when they take it over.
Yeah, and there has been comparisons to the way and style that Trey Lance can play compared to Patrick Mahomes. There's only one Patrick Mahomes, though, right?
Right. And I'm not saying that, but it is. I think the situation that Lance was drafted into feels comparable to the situation that Mahomes was drafted into.
And Jimmy G's contract, which I do think is important, like, are you going to have a guy sit on the bench where in 2021 his base salary is $24 million? That's a no from me, dog.
The Titans did it. Not. It was after week 6, but the Titans did that a couple of years ago.
But we're not talking week 6. Week 6, everything's free game because you can play your way out of $24 million after 6 weeks of poor play. Week 1, you're getting the football and you're getting the opportunity, especially because of injury. I wonder what the odds are on there. Trey Lance versus Jimmy G, day one starter. I put a lot on Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think Jimmy G starts. So I still think to get you to 4 rookie quarterbacks to start week 1, it's Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Davis Mills. Those are my 4.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Zach, it's that time. It's Tuesday. Time for trivia. 10 trivia questions. I'm about to look up our record from this past week because we took the week off because we did draft trivia that did not count because you were not involved. But sports trivia, we got 10 questions. Zach's going to give us the questions. We all are on the same team, and there's only one rule, no Googling. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. We broadcast live from that great dealership, quick trip down I-40, exit 236. Wilson County Hyundai, they have your perfect make and model, whether it's the 2021 Hyundai Sonata or the Hyundai Elantra. Those are sedans, or that Palisade. If you see at the bottom of your screen, that white Palisade, 2021s, they have them in stock. They're flying off the shelves, but they do have them in stock. We checked with Payne Bone and his team last week when we were there. They've got them. And this is a plush full-size SUV. It's got third row seating. It's got captain seats. It's got leather interior, all the bells and whistles. It's got a moonroof. I mean, it is slick. Both Austin and I have test drove that vehicle. Highly recommend it. SUV Palisade. That's what I'm talking about. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You could go check out their prices and inventory there, or actually go to the dealership and feel the fire behind the wheel and test drive one of those bad boys.
A to Z Sports, our title sponsor of our morning show is BetMGM, the king of sports books. A to Z Sports Picks is coming up today at 2 o'clock. So get ready for that with Brian Edwards and Alan Bell today at 2 p.m., giving you guys some winners for tonight. I'm going to make sure I watch that for sure. And don't forget this promo code today, and this is only for today. If you download the app at BetMGM, use the code ATOZ100. You bet $1 on the Braves Nationals game, any bet for $1, you will win $100 if anybody hits a home run. It's easy as that. So bet $1 to win $100 if a home run is hit using code ATOZ100 when you download and deposit and sign up with the BetMGM app. So check that out there. A to Z Sports Picks coming up at 2 o'clock today. Zach, let's do it. We're at 75%. We're 45 of 60. 8-2 is what we need to keep this thing rolling. So let's get this thing rocking.
Well, you mentioned baseball. We'll start with a Major League Baseball question.
All right.
Who, as a Phillies outfielder, won a Gold Glove in 2010? Who, as a Phillies outfielder, won a Gold Glove in 2010?
You know what I want to say?
Who?
Was this Jim Edmonds late in his career? Did Jim Edmonds leave the Cardinals and go to the Phillies late in his career?
He played for a bunch of teams towards the end.
Because it's outfielder. And so Bobby says Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard played first base and first base only because that dude wasn't moving very fast anywhere.
But this is right around the time Ryan Howard was hitting home runs in 2010.
Outfielder.
Shane Victorino is an infielder.
Infield, yeah.
He had a question mark on it.
Ronnie says Jason Worth.
Ooh, but Jason Worth was playing for the Phillies at the time. I love that answer. I believe that is the answer. Jason Worth, because he signed the big contract with the Nationals. He made his money with the Nationals.
Okay. Well, Matt says Victorino was a center fielder. Was he?
I thought he was shortstop.
I thought he was short. I thought he was a middle infielder.
Maybe I'm wrong though. I don't.
There's a lot.
It's really so Big League Design says Victorino played all over. So maybe we're either between Shane Victorino or Jason Worth. The chat is leaning towards Shane Victorino.
So Gold Glove, right? Victorino is more likely to get a Gold Glove than Worth.
I would agree, but I believe that Worth has a Gold Glove.
Okay, so Matt brings up, that was the Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley middle infield group with the Phillies.
You're right.
I kind of like the Shane Victorino answer.
I'm okay to relinquish Worth and go with Victorino.
All right, Shane Victorino, final A to Z.
The correct answer is Shane Victorino.
All right. Good job, guys. Good job, chat. Okay, 1-0 start. Zach, what's question 2?
Question 2 is a tough one. Oh. How many yards? And here's what I'll do for this one. I think this is only fair. we get over under 3 yards, okay? How many yards did Kurt Warner throw for in Super Bowl 34?
Say it one more time.
How many yards did Kurt Warner throw for in Super Bowl 34? Over under, we get 3. So if we're in 3, either way,
Plus
I
or
feel
minus.
like plus or minus. I think that's only fair because this is a tough one.
And that was against the Titans.
That's why I saw it. I was like, we gotta maybe we can get the exact one. That would be pretty.
Because the crazy thing is, it really wasn't that much until he threw the big touchdown at the very end to Isaac Bruce. Where it went like 75 yards. Oh
yeah.
Scott says 415. Titans Live says around like 425. I think it was in the 400s.
Yeah, I do too. Because he had a big second half.
Well, no, they had a big first half. The problem was he had a big first half, but the Titans defense forced field goals.
Ah, that's right.
And then,
which was unique because they never forced field goals.
Right.
Or the Rams.
The Rams never kicked field goals, settled for field goals. And so I want to 415 has been a popular answer. I feel like we got to go with 415. 415. So we get anywhere from 411 to 417.
Yeah, if we want to do that.
I say we do that. Final A to Z.
414. We got it. We were one off, but I think the 3 was fair.
415?
414.
That's what we answered. 414.
I thought you answered 415.
I said 414 because I said 411 to 417. Did I misspeak? I'm on less sleep.
It doesn't matter because we're within 3. So I can't.
Yeah, I'll win either way. 2-0. Good job, team. That was a good question for Titans audience. I said 415 because I'm stupid, apparently. But that's
okay. You definitely said 15. Okay. I don't know if we've had this one. Who won the NBA's Sixth Man of the Year award in 2011?
This feels like Jamal Crawford territory.
It felt like Lamar Odom territory, but
too late.
A couple of years off. Jamal Crawford.
Lamar Odom was like the late 2000s with those Kobe, Powell, Odom, where he came off the bench in like 08, 09, 2010.
Jason Terry?
Ooh. Jason Terry's a really good
2000. Okay, so I can let's go by NBA championships. In 2010-2011 season, the Mavs beat the Heat in LeBron's first year in Miami. The second year, which is 2011-2012, was Miami beating Oklahoma City.
So this feels like Jason Terry.
Right? And Donald was the first one to bring it up.
Is this the year that he had the trophy tattooed as well?
But also you had Harden, because this again the year after and Harden. Ooh, it's either Jason Terry or James Harden, and then you have Ginobili. These are all 3 really good answers. Dang.
Repeat the question, Kyle asks.
So the question is, who won the NBA's Sixth Man of the Year award in 2011?
Man, Lamar Odom. This was after the Lakers were good, though. This is when the Lakers started to really suck. Because I was in college, and that was when the Lakers were. I don't think it's Lamar Odom.
I don't think it is either. I think my gut says it's Jason Terry.
Hunter Morgan saying Odom. Odom is a very popular answer.
I mean, I said that initially, but
do we go with the most popular answer of the chat with Lamar Odom, or do we go with Jason Terry, who was an NBA champion that year, right?
He was an NBA champion.
Man, everybody's saying Lamar Odom. I feel like we need to go Lamar Odom. The chat has been good so far today.
Okay.
All right. Lamar Odom, final A to Z.
The correct answer is Lamar Odom.
Wow, good job, guys. All right.
No Googling. No Googling.
3-0 chat.
We have to reiterate, no Googling.
Right.
Then we'll have to go quicker on these answers.
Right. So
I don't want to have to force a time limit on these things.
I know.
But we will. That's my threat. It's a threat. So, chat, don't Google. That I thought we had three pretty good answers. All right, next up is a little bit more difficult. Who was the first golfer to win over $1 million in a single year?
So, what year, what era, what decade do we think that was in, right?
David Duval.
Do we think that was a 90s thing, or do we think that was like an 80s thing or 70s?
I want to say it's an early 90s thing.
I don't think Jack could have brought in $1 million on the course, right? Is this on the course? $1 million, won $1 million in 1 year, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is on the course, not endorsements.
Well, I mean, the question is, who was the first golfer to win over $1 million in a single year? So win says yes. It's just on the course. We got a lot of Payne Stewarts, but a lot of question marks.
Jack
falls within that, like, maybe too early, but he was the best golfer, which would make sense.
Yeah. Arnold Palmer's too old, I think.
I think it's between Tiger and Jack.
I think we need to go Jack.
You want to lock it in?
Final A to Z. Jack Nicklaus, not Jack Nicholson, Garrett. Jack Nicklaus. Final A to Z. Wrong.
Oh, man. Allen.
Arnold Palmer, man. Just did he go undefeated back in the 60s?
That is the correct answer. Arnold Palmer.
Wow, we missed on that one. Okay, so we are 3-1. We're not quite halfway through. 3-1. So Zach, what's question 5?
Question 5 is a tennis question. How many U.S. Open single titles did John McEnroe win?
Oh, God.
How many U.S. Open singles titles did John McEnroe win? So, like, Federer is, like, what's the overall? Isn't it like 20-something overall? So then I kind of quarter those, right? If the greatest, and McEnroe was good at the U.S. Open. I do know that.
We got a 6, a 4, and an 8.
Yeah, my gut was like a 4. But
so read it one more time. We've got 2 8s now.
How many U.S. Open singles titles did John McEnroe win?
U.S. Opens.
U.S. Open.
I think 8 is way too many U.S. Opens. I think 4 makes sense.
4 is my gut. Just like Lamar Odom was my gut, 4 was my gut. I don't know if it's right, though.
Just U.S. Opens.
Just U.S. Open.
We got 5 has become a popular answer. Johnny says 7. Kevin says 4.
We have no definite.
Reverb says pretty sure 4. I think we need to go 4 and final A to Z lock this in.
The correct answer is 4.
Yes.
Yes.
That was big. That was a guess.
That was a guess win.
Yeah. We're 4-1, halfway through trivia. Real quick, let me tell you about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, for one 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. It's full body electronic muscle simulation. Seriously, go check it out for your first free workout. It's worth that, because you're going to really need to experience this thing to understand what we're talking about. It can help you achieve your fitness goals no matter where you are in that process. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free.
Next up, we have a difficult question that I'm curious to talk through. What 2 teams did the Miami Heat sweep in the 2005 NBA playoffs?
So this was Dwayne Wade's
championship year.
First championship.
They came back and won 4-2 after going down 0-2 to the Mavs to win. But 05, this is I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed that I don't know, but
I kind of want to say the Pacers.
Or were the Pacers in a rebuild because they went to the finals in 2001 and Reggie Miller?
I want to say they played the Pacers in the first round.
Okay, that's something. Rob says Nets and Wizards. Wizards? Cavs and Sixers? I mean, I know, Ronnie. I'm the same way.
Preston
can't believe
says
I don't
Pacers
know.
Bulls.
Huh?
Preston says Pacers Bulls.
I'll read the question again. What two teams did the Miami Heat sweep in the 2005 NBA playoffs?
Man, I still really feel like Pacers are one of them.
You want to go Pacers and Wizards?
Wizards.
The Wizards seem right because this is
Rob says Nets and Wizards, by God. So Orlando says definitely the Nets are one.
I mean, Rob has been pretty 2005, Dom. Rob has been pretty open with Nets and Wizards. He came out right out of the gate.
Let's just go Nets and Wizards. Final A to Z. We're doing it.
The correct answer, Nets and Wizards.
Okay.
And that was not Googled because Rob had that really early.
Yeah, and apparently, and that's not the year they won the title in 06, not 05. So we had our playoffs wrong.
Then how was that known?
I don't know, but we got it right pretty quick. So we are 5-1. Let's keep it rolling.
All right, next question. How much did Jose Canseco sell his World Series ring for?
Oh, man.
I knew I was going to get that reaction out of you.
Like $17,000.
I mean, this is a good question.
Yeah.
I think we do a plus minus 1,000.
Yeah, this is a wild question. I mean, this is going to be the one we miss. We just need to chalk this up and give it a random guess, and then move forward and try to. I say let's go. I don't know why I said 17,000, but I don't know what year he sold it. So Puka says 21,000.
Let's do. We got over under 1,000.
So okay, plus or minus 1,000. So let's go with 22,000. Final A to Z.
Canseco ain't that cheap. $40,000.
All right, so we missed that one. So we're 5-2. All we have to do, guys, is just get these last three questions right. That's all we need. Steroids in a pack of cheese. All right, so we got three questions left, Zach.
Let's see here. What kind of grass is traditionally used at Wimbledon?
Ooh.
Bermuda?
I feel like somebody's going to know this.
What type of grass is traditionally used at Wimbledon?
The grass at Wimbledon is
green. Billy's favorite color is green.
So we're getting fescue. Fescue makes sense. Scott's Turf Builder.
Fescue is definitely the most popular. Rye. Kevin comes in with rye.
Reverb says ryegrass.
Crab. Yeah. That plush crab grass.
Ryegrass is getting a lot of answers.
So it's not fescue.
Kyle says, I know golf grass, but we're getting rye. Rye is tougher. So I think we need to go
says, for God's sake, it's ryegrass.
All right, let's go ryegrass. Final A to Z, rye.
The correct answer is ryegrass.
Nice job, guys. For God's sake. All right, for God's sake, let's move on. We are 6-2. We got two more questions. Let's get to 8-2.
Who was the Yankees' full-time closer before Mariano Rivera? This is a good question. I have no clue. but there's got to be Yankees fans out there. I'll repeat the question. Who was the Yankees' full-time closer before Mariano Rivera?
Wayland? Is that a guy?
Lee Smith?
Lee Smith. That's just a Goose Gossage. Is that too far back? Wetland? Wetland is what Big League Design says. John Wetland. I feel like people are really high on John Wetland.
I'll just be honest. I have no clue.
So let's just go John Wetland, right? John Wetland, final A to Z.
Well, you've said it now. John Wetland is the correct answer.
Man, the chat has been on it today. Like, I don't know where we would be, Zach, if we didn't have the chat. If it was just me and you today, we'd be in a bad spot.
My one question is Rob, and I'd love for him to tell us how he knew the answer to the Miami Heat question.
But he knew it fast.
I get it. I'm not completely doubting him, but I am doubting him.
Unless he's got like Siri listening to your voice. I don't know.
It's a hard, and I agree. It's a hard thing to quickly look up.
Yeah. All right. So we are 7-2. This is the deciding factor of if we have a successful trivia or not. So we need to get this one right to improve our percentage. If we miss it, we drop our percentage. That's how it goes. So Zach, what is question number 10?
Question number 10 is from the NFL. The Vikings 2018 season marked how many years under owner Ziggy Wilf?
I think we're going to lose this one.
I'll read it once again. The Vikings 2018 season marked how many years under owner Ziggy Wilf? I mean, I know Ziggy Wilf. I know exactly what he looks like. Billionaire. I thought he recently purchased that. So it's not like.
You think it's like 20?
Maybe it's a pass down from the Wilf family.
Ronnie says 16 years. 20?
Where are Vikings fans at?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know Vikings fans.
Skull. I know one.
Yeah, I mean, Stacy asked if we get a plus or minus years.
No, you don't get one. We've used
it exactly.
Yeah. It's the final question.
So let's just say he wasn't. Puka says he wasn't the owner in the 80s. So let's go. So 2018. So let's go with 25. Ronnie, hold on. I didn't lock it in yet. Ronnie says I believe he purchased in 02. So that would mean 16 or 15.
What do you want to do?
Let's go 15. 15, final A to Z. Is it 25?
14.
Ah! Oh, bummer.
14 would have been.
And we didn't give ourselves a plus or minus at least 1 year.
No, we couldn't do that because it's the last question.
That hurts.
God, that hurts. That stings. That's a tough question.
That's really tough.
So we were 7-3?
7-3.
It's not going to cut it. No. It's not going to cut our 75% marker. When we were one off, that we did some good math, and thanks.
Ronnie said 02, and so I was thinking 2018, so I was giving it a year of purchase.
Because 02 would be
16 years. But in my mind, I said 15 because like you don't just like buy it and like, okay, let's do it. Like there's usually a process.
And you just needed 2.
Yeah,
it was kind of like the LA Galaxy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with Greg. Who the hell celebrates 14 years? Man, so officially we are at 74%. We dropped 1 point. We were at 75% going into today. We dropped down to 74%. So close.
How many questions do we have?
We have 3 more weeks of this
until we have to reach our marker. So we really got to be on it the next few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
shout
big
out
one.
to the chat. The chat got us to 70% today.
Yep.
I'll take credit for Lamar Odom and 4 U.S. Open titles for John McEnroe, though.
You can have it. That's fine. All right, guys. We'll see you on Wednesday. Going to have a big show. Don't forget A to Z Sports Picks presented by BetMGM coming up at 2 o'clock today with our guys, Alan Bell and Brian Edwards. We're going to have a good show. Get us some winners. I won last night. I turned a $8.31 free bet into $35.
It's not bad.
Not bad. All right. We'll see you guys later on. Have a good Tuesday.